This is J-Ram.
And this is Billy.
And this is yet another edition of Retro Review.
And tonight we're going to be reviewing Friday the 13th, the 2009 reboot.
Alright, so let's just jump into this, Ryan.
This movie was produced in part with Michael Bay, so just know what you're jumping into.
He's not all bad. He made Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2, and they're really enjoyable films. Even the very first Transformers really isn't that bad.
No, not the first couple, I don't think. I think I saw a couple of the Transformers.
I only remember the first two, even though I know I've seen all of the ones with Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
I
think he's been in
the
3.
First two. I thought he was in 4.
Anyway, we're not talking about the Transformers, although there is some very Megan Foxy type situations going on in this movie. Lots of sexist portrayals of women, a little bit.
Yeah.
Man, my nose is all stopped up.
All of the actresses have pretty decent sized breasts and comely shaped asses. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, they got good butts and they got good boobs.
Yeah, but we start this movie with a
flashback of sorts.
Yeah, pretty much another depiction of the end of the first film.
Yeah, the original film. It's set in June 13th, 1980. The flashback takes place the same year as the original movie.
Yeah, so 1980.
And it's very quick. It lasts maybe like a minute, maybe a minute 30. And it's basically just watching, I guess, what this movie's version of Alice is.
Yeah.
Confront Mrs. Voorhees and cut her head off.
Yeah.
And she runs off because she survived. And then out of the woods comes Jason, who picks up his mother's locket.
Yes.
And that's important.
Because basically it's building up the history of James. It's the history of James witnesses.
I know, it's weird. You keep calling me Jason on all these other podcasts, and the time you're talking about Jason, you call him James.
Anyway, so you see, this kind of builds up the history of Jason witnessing his mother dying, and so taking up this mantle to kill for, like, revenge on his mother. And
so, kill them for me, I think is what she even says in the movie.
Yeah, kill them for me, Jason, yeah. So then it flashes forward to present day Crystal Lake.
Which is 2009, so not like now, but 10 years ago.
And there's a group of plucky teenagers that we're introduced to, and they are going out into the woods to find a crop of marijuana that someone had spotted.
Well, no, 2 of them are. The others are along because they think they're just on a camping trip.
Oh, okay.
2 of them know about the weed.
I thought they all knew about it.
No,
okay,
only 2 of them know about the weed. Hold on a second. I can tell you who it is. Wade and Richie.
Yes.
Those are the 2 that know about the weed from another source. The rest of them, Mike and Amanda, and there's one more girl.
Yeah.
And
Whitney. Yeah, Whitney. Yeah. The important one. She'll come up later, everyone.
Yeah. Those are just their friends, and they're just along for a camping trip. They don't know anything about the weed because I think it's Richie says to Wade, we'll wait until dawn, get up early, cut as much as we can carry, go stash it in the truck and be back before anyone realizes we're gone.
Yeah.
Like they won't even know it's in the car.
Yeah, true. And so they end up putting up for camp, and they put up their tents and everything, and everybody's sitting around a campfire, and then they tell the story about Jason, don't they?
That's what Wade does. He tells them how on, that night in June in 1980, a woman went crazy and murdered all these counselors.
Yeah.
And her son Jason, I don't know how
he said, and Jason
was
comes
there.
Back.
He said Jason was there. He saw his mother beheaded.
Yeah.
And he's been back ever since. I don't know how they know Jason was there.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then I think it was mentioned later that no, it's the same guy. He's telling the story. He says the cops came looking for Jason but never found him.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that is supposed to imply. I mean, we know that Jason's been around since his mother's death.
Yeah.
But we don't have proof in this movie if he's
that he witnessed
active.
It. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, no other character should know that he witnessed it.
Oh, yeah. But he tells this story around the campfire, gets them all riled up.
And Whitney and her boyfriend, Mike, go off to take a walk to get away from him.
Yeah.
And then Richie starts flirting with Amanda behind Wade's back. And she's like rubbing her chest and like pops open her shirt to show him her perfect boobs.
Yeah, fake titties. Anyway.
First thing he said, listeners, when he saw them, like, those are fake titties.
Yeah. Yeah, ain't nobody's titties look like that. Anyway, so she's teasing him from behind Wade, And so eventually
Wade catches on, and he takes a quick peek around and almost sees something, and he's like, "Oh, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
I got my bros back." And he's like, "I'm gonna go take a walk. I'm kind of bushed. I might take a little walk before bed."
Yeah. And so he walks down this little trail, and Richie and what was her name?
Wade. No, Richie and Amanda.
Richie and Amanda, they go off into the tent
to have sex.
Yes. And in the meantime, while Wade is busy getting lost, he goes down through a trail or whatever to go take a piss. Mm-hmm. And then he notices while he's whizzing that he's whizzing right next to a marijuana plant. And then he starts looking around and he sees more marijuana.
A lot of marijuana plants.
Yeah, marijuana plants everywhere.
And Ryan took me seriously, and so I might have spoiled the movie for him a little bit, but I said, "Oh yeah, that's Jason's weed crop. He grows it just to lure teenagers in to kill him. It's like his bait."
And I took it for serious, and I was like, okay, so now Jason, like...
A weed farmer? Now he has, like, skills?
I mean, he could make money doing that. Why has he got to kill people?
I told you, if he just smoked what he was growing, he wouldn't be so aggro.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I do want to iterate that James was playing with me.
Yeah,
it's not like that.
No, they don't say that in the movie.
Yeah, I legit thought that. You can't put anything past the Michael Bay film, man. I'm just saying. And I think that's one of the reasons why I don't hold this film in such high regard. It's not a bad movie. It's just there's signatures of like his style.
Oh, and I don't care. I love this movie.
Maybe it's the editing or something. I don't know.
I don't know, because this is a palate cleanser to me.
Oh, God.
This just washes away the horrible taste. Even though they're not all bad, I rated some of them quite highly. It just washes away 6 through 10 and gives you a fresh, murderous, gory, awesome Jason again.
Would you say this is more Italian cheesy bread, or do you think this is...
No, this is the pizza.
This is the pretzel pizza.
This is that pretzel crust this is that pretzel crust, extra most bestest cheesiest pepperoni pizza. And that's what it's called because it's got the most cheese and the most pepperoni of any of their other pizzas.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Yeah, it is. It's salty though.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But it's pretzel crust.
So you think this movie is that good?
It is that good. It
really?
Is. Bon appetit.
All right. So, of course, he's seeing all this weed around him and everything. And he starts looking at him and going, smelling him and like just freaking out about it.
I love all of you.
And then he looks up and he sees a dark figure standing there, a big guy.
With a bag on his head.
Yeah, with a bag on his head.
Part 2 callback.
Yeah, part 2 callback, definitely. And so he freaks out and is like, oh my God. And then he gets stabbed, right?
Yeah, and impaled onto a tree and then gets his ears mutilated off.
Yeah, you eventually find out that he got his ear cut off by Jason. But now we're going back to Whitney and what's this dude's name?
No, I think Richie and Amanda come before Whitney and Mike because they're still exploring the camp. While all this is going on,
I thought it was like
Mike,
simultaneous.
No, because he would have had to.
Yeah.
Because when she was running back, she found the camp. Remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they had to happen first. But Ryan is correct in that while all that's going on with Wade, Mike and Whitney on their walk have found the original camp, Crystal Lake. And then it goes back to their camp where they're staying, and we see that Richie and Amanda are getting busy.
Yeah, so they're like pounding away in this tent, and of course you can see everything on the shadows on the tent.
Yeah.
And Amanda hears like a crack, a twig snapping like around, and she thinks that Wade is peeping on him.
To which Richie's classy response is, "So let the pervert watch."
Yeah. And so eventually she gets creeped out and she's like, nothing's happening unless you go out there and tell him to buzz off. And so he goes out there trying to find Wade, and eventually he sees his glow stick there. And when he goes to pick up the glow stick, he notices the marijuana plants around him.
And he goes, "Oh shit, Wade, you found the weed."
And then the glow stick shows a human ear hanging from one of the marijuana plants, which is Wade's ear. And he looks up and he sees his friend impaled on the tree, and his face is all mutilated.
And so he goes running back to camp. But while he's running back to camp, Jason has approached the tent. And this is a brutal, awesome twist on a classic kill from this series.
Yeah, so he takes the machete and he rips through the tent where Amanda is. and she's in her sleeping bag at this point.
Which, as you know, in this series means certain death.
Yeah. So he grabs the sleeping bag and he hangs it from a tree with a rope over the campfire and burns her alive inside of her sleeping bag.
Cooks her. Like, instead of just bashing her into her tree and being done with it, or taking two and bashing them into each other, he roasts her alive. This is a gruesome, bloody, awesome Jason.
Yeah, and eventually her body burnt falls out of the sleeping bag, but Richie can't get back to Amanda because he got caught in a bear trap.
That Jason also set up.
Yeah, that Jason had also set up, and so his leg is getting just ripped apart from this bear trap.
I had to look away a couple times. I couldn't watch it.
Yeah. But wait, that's when...
While he's trying to get to her, Jason isn't there.
Yeah.
He's at the camp now where Mike and Whitney are.
Yeah.
And they're walking around the camp, and then
they go into a house, and it ends up being Jason's shack.
House,
it was like his shack.
Yeah, it had a child's bed with his name on the headboard.
Yes.
Which was cool.
It was like a rundown house, yeah. And in one of the rooms, there was a shrine that
it was the bathroom, because there was the tub full of that black liquid and stuff. Ugh.
Yeah, so there's a bathroom, and it's got all of these candles lit and into this wall.
And Mike sees it first, and he goes, Whitney, somebody's been here.
Yeah. And so he investigates, and he finds the head of Pamela Voorhees.
Thinks it's a doll, and he goes, I think there's a doll in here, and he reaches in and he grabs something, and he pulls it out, and then when he realizes it's a head, he goes, and drops it into the tub of
goo.
Yeah. Oh, it was gross.
Yeah. And
but then the door slams.
Yeah.
And they go, oh. And of course that means it's Jason time.
Yeah, and so Jason shows up at the house, and that's when he's
stabbing them from underneath.
Yes.
Like, they don't know he's there because he's underneath them, under the floor, and he's stabbing with his machete up, and that's how he gets Mike.
Yeah, he gets Mike through the foot a couple times, through the leg and
through
then through the hand, yeah.
And Mike isn't like Rick from part 4. He's not wasting his time screaming, he's killing me. He's killing me. No, he's screaming to Whitney.
Rick, did you say Rick? Wasn't it?
No, it was Rick.
It was Rick?
No, that's part 3.
No.
That's part 3. Rick! And he's the one that gets his eyeball squirted out.
Oh, yeah.
In that awesome 3D effect.
No.
What was his name?
Rob.
Ooh, glad you remembered.
Yeah,
that would have bothered me.
I was thinking about him earlier because I was thinking that...
He's killing... You thought Mike was going to be he's killing me. He's not.
No.
He's actually screaming useful advice. He first screams, Whitney, get off the floor. And then as he's being dragged underneath to Jason's subterranean lair...
Yeah.
/ torture dungeon, maybe... He's screaming, Whitney, run, and she gets back to her camp, to which is when she finds her friend Amanda roasted alive.
Yeah,
and Richie caught in that trap.
Yeah, and Richie's caught in the trap, and she runs to try and help Richie get out of the bear trap, and that's whenever it shows her looking at him, you can see Jason behind her, and of course he sees him coming.
Yeah. When it shows it from Richie's perspective, you see Jason coming.
Yes.
But you don't just see Jason coming. In one of my favorite scenes, you see him two-handed holding that machete and running and just whoosh, right down the center of Richie's head. And then
you really like that kill, don't
you? Dude, this is such a great movie because he just slacks him right in the head, and then he just takes his boot, shoves him off with his machete.
I'll say they did a really good job with the practical effects. They mixed a little bit of CGI in some of the kills, like whenever they were roasting Amanda alive in the sleeping bag. The flames were made. Part of the flames were made for that, and they did them in like 2 different shots so that they could overlay them and stuff. So they did some cool practical effects sort of stuff in this film too. But the dummy for Richie, yeah. The dummy looked very realistic.
Yeah,
and the way that they did the shot was really creative too. So
Richie's dead, and Whitney's trying to get away, and you can't get away from this Jason. He doesn't leave survivors.
Oh no, and I mean he books it, man. He can run in this movie.
He doesn't
just
Jason.
fast walk, you know.
No, he's a predator. He's a survivalist. I don't think he's mentally challenged in this movie. I think it's mostly there must be some mental handicap, but I think it's mostly a physical handicap.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly he has a deformed head. I don't think it's his brain that's as affected.
Okay.
Because he sets up, like we said, he has an underground layer / torture area.
Yeah.
We don't see him torture people, but we'll get there.
Well, we need to, and you know why, James?
Why?
Because we're not even out of the prologue yet.
Yeah, okay, fine. Ryan's big problem was all this takes place. It's probably like 20 minutes of film. And then all of a sudden, Friday the 13th title card. And he was like, that was just the prologue?
Like, how long is this movie?
Only 97 minutes. It's literally no longer.
Yeah, I know. It just feels like it because that prologue is so long.
It's great. It's a great movie. It books, man. It books it.
Yeah. But, of course, that's how the movie ends. That's not how the movie ends. That's how the prologue ends. Is he, right. He gets Richie in the head with that machete.
A great kill.
Yeah, and then he takes Whitney because while she was in the house, grabbed the locket.
We find this out later. We don't know that he takes her in the prologue. The prologue ends, and we think Whitney's dead.
Yeah,
because it just shows him like raising the machete.
Yeah.
So that cuts to 6 weeks later. But
spoiler alert: Whitney's alive.
Yeah, spoiler, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Trent and his girlfriend Jenna and their friends Chelsea, Bree, Chewie, Nolan, and Lawrence arrive at Trent's summer cabin on the shore of Crystal Lake.
Yeah, Trent, the super uber rich douchebag. Straight
it's
up,
not a rich bitch in this one. It's rich douche.
Yeah, most unlikable character, I think, in this whole franchise.
And you'll see why, because...
Well, I don't know. Vic was just crazy.
How about Rapey McRapeface, dude?
Yeah.
How can we forget him?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like the first couple films. Anyway,
the reason why we hate Trent so much is because while they get to Crystal Lake, we meet Whitney's brother, Clay Miller.
Yeah.
I remember telling you a while ago that the only big star the series had was, until the reboot, was Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
I forgot that Jared Padalecki... I didn't forget that Jared was in this movie. I just forgot how far along into Supernatural it was.
Yeah.
This is in between the 3rd and 4th season of Supernatural. For those of you who don't watch that show, Jared Padalecki plays Sam Winchester.
Yes.
A main character on that show. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But I knew this took place in 2009. I just forgot it was kind of in the middle of the beginning of that show's run.
Yeah.
In the early days. I thought it was closer to like season 1, season 2.
Yeah.
But... So he is a big star. He is like one of the main stars. He's the main star of this movie.
Yeah.
So he plays Clay, like I said, Whitney's brother, and they're all at this store. That's how we meet them. And he's talking to the store owner, trying to get him to hang up this poster that says, "Have you seen Whitney?"
Yeah. And that's because his sister is Whitney.
Yeah. She's missing.
Did you already say that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, James. I missed that part of your sentence. Anyway, so the convenience store guy is basically just being a total douche about it.
Sorry, we can't hang it up. It's the owner's rules. Yeah. I would if I could. I don't have any power.
Yeah.
And then Trent butts in and goes, "Hey, buddy, are you going to buy anything?
Yeah.
You've been standing there yakking forever. Can you get a move on? We got places to be."
Like, I fucking hate Trent, man. He's such a fucking asshole.
To a guy who's literally got posters in his hands that says, "Have you seen my sister?"
He's an asshole to literally every character in this film.
Even his girlfriend.
Yes. Even the girl he cheats on his girlfriend with. Anyway. That's true. Let's keep going.
So that's when they first run into him, and it doesn't really... They separate. After a great shot of Trent and his group leaving in their Cadillac with one of the posters cleverly hung on the back, like Clay did that real quick.
Yeah.
Clay drives a motorcycle, so he goes off to look for his sister.
Doesn't wear a helmet, though.
No. But he goes off to look for his sister while they're going to Trent's summer home. And while he's out traveling, he meets a cop who tells him, "Your sister and her friends aren't out here. You know how many people go missing all the time out here? Look somewhere else. The other families are."
Yeah.
And while that's going on and he's meeting other locals, Trent and his group arrive at their cabin.
Yeah.
And then they almost immediately start to separate. He sends Chelsea and Nolan to go bring gas down to the boat.
Yes.
And that's how they get first separated off from the group.
Yeah. And of course they're the first to go.
Yeah, because he tells Nolan, "Don't drive my boat." I'm the only one that drives that boat. And so the next thing we see is them racing down the road in the Cadillac.
Yeah.
And him going, what does that say about me? That, like, the first thing after he said, don't drive my boat, like, I knew I was going to fucking drive this boat.
Yeah.
And the girl, Chelsea's no better. She's like, makes you like a sociopath. What does it make me that I kind of like it? Like, it's really bad acting from those two.
Yeah, but thank God we don't have to deal with them for long, because they go down there.
And they go wakeboarding.
Yeah, they go wakeboarding, and she goes topless wakeboarding, by the way.
Yeah, because we got to see more boobs.
Of course. And,
Michael Bay.
Yeah. And so she's wakeboarding, and he's towing her behind him and everything. Mm-hmm. And basically, she falls off eventually.
Yeah, but she's okay.
And he's looping around to go back to get her. And
then out of nowhere,
an arrow.
Jason's a fucking badass in this movie, and I love it.
Okay.
An arrow comes flying straight through his eye and just boom, and it kills him.
Yeah. And so he lays down on the gas and ends up running over
Chelsea.
Like,
well, she at least hits her head.
Well, yeah, he ran over her with the boat. Yeah.
It definitely, like, she's woozy. She can't, see straight until she looks through the woods and she sees Jason.
Yeah. And so Jason is out there.
Yeah. In his hockey mask, because we forgot that scene.
Yeah.
Jason kills a local.
Oh, wait, he's already got the hockey mask now?
Yeah, because once he starts going after the kids, he's got the hockey mask. This movie does a good job of quickly developing the character and getting to all the things we know about him. Yeah. Like we see he gets his machete from his mom the night she died. It goes on and we see Clay interacting with one of the locals, a farm guy, who he startles while he was working a wood chipper, and he spins around real fast. Jared Padalecki is like 6-something, and this guy's clearly like 5-foot-something.
Yeah.
And of course the guy's, whoa there, Slim. Almost opened up a can of whoop ass.
Yeah. So we're just gonna hash over this really quick, but basically he's just trying to give this guy some flyers, like say, "Hey, have you seen my sister?" and everything. This guy ends up just kind of brushing him off, and then tries to sell him some weed that he found out in the forest or whatever.
Jason's weed.
He declines and takes off, and that's whenever he heads to the cabin that all the teenagers are at, but he doesn't know that they're
yet. Because the guy who is working in the barn goes upstairs.
Yeah.
And he starts looking at a nudie mag and talking dirty to it and licking it.
Yeah.
And that's when Jason appears, because Jason has been the one stealing the kerosene from the barn.
Yeah. And he ends up like fondling some mannequin or whatever, but eventually Jason comes in and slits his throat with a machete, and then he finds
After we get a reveal of his face. The bag comes off of his head.
Yeah, that's true.
And we see his face. It's grotesque, but it's cool.
Yeah, it does look really good. Very convincing.
It's very, very good makeup job. Unlike what we've seen before. So anyway, we see his face. He kills the guy. He slits his throat. And then when he goes down to get his bag, he sees something behind it, and he moves some stuff. And there's the iconic hockey mask. Yeah. Which they actually made from a mold they still had from the Part 3's hockey mask.
Really?
Yep.
Well, how about
So it's actually kind of a copy of the original.
Okay. And so,
and then we talked about Nolan and Chelsea and getting killed in the
Chelsea
wakeboard.
gets run over by the boat, but then Jason ends up finishing her off.
Because she swims under the dock and Jason's walking. He's just walking and he's looking.
Yeah, and he's above her on the dock, and she's just underneath him. And as she's looking up, holding her breath, he stabs the machete through the floor. Well, he
walks away first. We think he left. And then she kind of releases her breath, and then just choom, machete straight down through the dock, lifts her up, and just pulls it out of her head, and she goes into the water.
Yeah. I think the only reason it lifted her up whenever he pulled it out is just to show her tits once more, because she popped up right where you could see her tits again.
See, you're the one who noticed.
I'm just saying, like,
I was just going like, oh, what a brutal, awesome kill.
I mean, it was brutal. I'm just saying, I think the only reason they did that was just to get that last tit shot in.
So while that's going on, Clay and Jenna are searching the old camp, and they see Jason hauling Nolan or Chelsea, I don't know whose body it was.
Some dead
body into the camp, and they're like, oh, we gotta get the fuck out of here. There's some weirdo in a mask with dead bodies. We gotta warn everybody.
Yeah.
So they run back to Trey's cabin. Well, while that's going on, Chewie has broken an heirloom after getting super drunk.
An heirloom. It was a chair. The dude was just over dramatic about it.
So he sent Chewie off to go get tools.
Yeah, to fix the and he's blackout fucking drunk. Like, he's stumbling everywhere. This was so stupid.
He's super high and blackout drunk.
And is this before or after, what was the girl's name? Other protagonist?
Bree.
Did Bree go off with Clay yet?
That's fixing to happen.
Okay, so that hasn't happened yet.
He sent off Chewie to go get the tools.
Yeah.
And that's when she says, hey, let's finish this dance. And she drags him into the bedroom.
Yeah.
Because Trent's a bad guy. He's going to cheat on Jenna.
Yeah, but this is after Bree's left with Clay. We didn't go over that.
No, this is after Jenna's left with Clay.
Jenna.
Yeah, we did.
Who's Bree? Bree's the girl he cheats on her with?
Bree is the girl that Trent hooks up with.
Yeah. Okay.
To cheat on Jenna.
See, you were getting me confused on the names. So Jenna's already left with Clay.
Yeah, we did forget that.
Yeah, we did.
Clay showed up at the house because he was going door to door.
Yeah.
And she's the only person out of that group that's nice to him, that kind of understands what he's doing. Trent sees him. He's a dick to him because he's a dick guy.
Yeah.
And she goes, you know what? I'll walk you out. And he's like, oh, you going with that guy? And she goes off with him.
Yeah.
Then they discover the camp.
Yeah, they end up spending the whole day together or whatever. Passing out flyers or whatever, and they end up
Finding the GPS.
They found GPS. They ended up in Camp Crystal Lake.
Yep.
That's where they saw Jason. They hid under the house, and they saw him with the with the body over his shoulder, and he had gotten angry because he saw their bag still laying out there.
So he knew someone was out there.
So he knew someone was there. Yeah. Eventually, they start making their way out of the camp area, the old camp area where Jason is,
and back to Trent's
and they
house.
hit a trip line that rings
a bell.
Yeah, that rings
under the
some bells
ground,
under
and
the
that's
ground.
when it's revealed that Whitney is alive.
Yeah,
because it rings a bell and it goes to her cell.
Yeah.
And she just starts screaming like, help me!
Yeah, so she's being held captive. And they set this up a little bit earlier in the film
because when she and her boyfriend are searching the cabin, they find a locket, Jason's mother's locket, and they open it up and he goes, huh, she looks just like you. And sure enough, she does look just like the mom.
Yeah. And so that kind of sets up why Jason didn't kill her.
Which is also a callback to part 2 when Ginny put on the old sweater to use that child psychology. This movie is just great, man.
I mean, it hints on a lot of things from the older films. It does. But moving on.
Yes, Whitney's still alive. And like we said, this movie sets up that Jason is not a fool. Like, he is a survivalist. He has set traps, he's set bells, he's set alarms. And what's nice about this underground lair is it takes away the idea of teleporting Jason. He doesn't just pop up right next to him out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, he has faster ways to get ahead of them wherever they're going to go in the forest.
Yeah.
So I thought that was neat that they explained how he's able to get ahead of them at points.
Yeah, true.
So Jenna and Clay run to the house to warn the others. Chewie, who was in the tool room, has already been killed by Jason by being stabbed through the throat.
Very slowly.
With a screwdriver. Ooh, again, gross,
I mean,
but
he was
awesome.
very slow because he was trying to fight him off and hold him off, but he was stronger than him, and he just pushed it into his throat super slow.
Chewie did have one of my favorite moments, though. He tried to offer him the hockey stick.
Yeah, he said it'll complete your outfit.
Ensemble.
He said it'll complete your outfit. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. And of course, Jason just kills him and then hides the body, as Jason's wanted to do.
Yeah, he hides him in the ceiling or whatever.
Yeah, so he can drop down when the guy comes in and go, ah! Jason loves that kind of stuff. He should have gone into interior decorating.
Oh, God.
He would have loved that.
All right, so
while that's going on, Lawrence, who is Chewie's best friend, goes outside to look for him because they say, no, you guys don't understand. Chelsea and Nolan never came back. There's a killer out there.
Yeah.
So Lawrence goes to look for Chewie, and he brings a wok, which he kind of uses almost like Captain America's shield. Why wouldn't you carry it like a bat? Like, why wouldn't you use it to just smack someone in the face with?
I don't know.
Anyway, beside the point, after that, he gets there to the tool shed, which Chewie says it's big enough to be a house, and it kind of is.
Yeah.
But he gets there, and he looks for Chewie, and he finds his body because it falls down from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And that's when Jason kind of pops up in another cool effect behind him with the light swinging.
Yeah.
Like kind of on and off of him. That was so cool. He grabs him, they fight, Lawrence gets away. Jason's mad that he gets away because Lawrence also stabbed him in the leg. He's like, fuck you, and stabs him.
And then he takes off running, and so...
Jason gets angry.
Yeah, so he runs out of the house, Jason does, and there's...
He can really book it, guys. Like, we're not kidding. Like, he runs.
And he grabs an axe that was in a stump, like for wood cutting, and he starts chasing him. 5. Yeah, he starts chasing him up the hill towards the cabin, and eventually Jason just takes it and hawks it back, and he chunks
like a tomahawk.
Yeah.
And then, boom, straight into the middle of Lawrence's back and brings him down.
Yeah.
Lawrence is the Rob character. He's the one that screams, help me, help me. And Jared Padalecki's like, you can't fucking go out there. He's using your friend as bait.
Yeah, he's trying to lure you out there. And it was true. And because when you looked back and you saw him, laid over with the axe in his back, and he was like, help me, Jason wasn't behind him anymore. He was gone somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he ends up popping up and finishing the job.
He picks up Lawrence, turns him around, and then just kind of slams him into the ground, which drives the axe through his back and through his front.
Yeah.
And it kills him. So then Jason goes, and the next time we see him, he's standing on the roof of the house.
Yeah.
Real cool shot still.
Yeah.
So they don't know where he is. They're all freaked out inside. Trent goes to get a gun. Bree goes to the bathroom. The window's open.
Yeah.
And she's standing in front of the tub, and she's scared. And then while everyone else is looking around the house, Jason sneak grabs her, like covers her mouth so she can't scream. And then he just suffocates her almost to the point of death, but means to lift her up.
And he slams her against the wall where
which
there's
has like some kind of deer, because this is some kind of hunting cabin thing that Trent's father owns. So there's uncle or something like that, because there's deer antlers and animal carcasses all over the place.
Yeah.
So he picks her up and right through the breasts. Did you notice that? Like the horns were spaced to go right through each breast.
I didn't
and
notice
he just hung her up on the wall.
I didn't know it went all the way through her body. I thought he just hung her on it.
No, I can't. I don't know if it goes all the way through.
I thought he stabbed her.
Well, they make it clear that it's like,
yeah,
she got stabbed like into the breasts.
Okay. But
anyway, he kills her. They don't find her. They're looking around. They're running around. Trent's got the gun. And they do find her because he moves the door aside. He goes, oh, he already killed Bree.
Yeah, that's after he shot her through the door because he was very trigger happy. He's
a dick and he doesn't know how to handle a gun.
No, and he was freaking out.
But the good news is
we don't have to deal with him much longer.
Yes, because the cops are there.
Yeah.
The cop finally shows up. They called him before Jason cut the power.
And Jason's looking out the window towards the cop, and I was thinking, he's like, who called the popo?
It made me laugh because he looked at me. He's like, you know what Jason's thinking? Who called the popo on me?
How dare you?
And then so the cop is standing, knocking on the door, going, police, and they're going to go answer it. Jason drops from the roof to right behind him and stabs him through the eye, through the door with a poker.
Like pinning him to the door with.
Yep, like part one. Mm-hmm. That, again, so many great little callbacks that work so well.
Yeah.
So he pins him to the door, and then I don't know why he leaves.
Huh?
I can't remember why he disappears after he kills the cop. But he goes away, and they run out the front door.
He ends up jumping through the window, doesn't he?
Yeah, he throws the body in through the windshield, because we were worried for a second we weren't going to get any window smashing.
Yeah.
But no, Michael Bay
he throws her body, the girl that was
out
hung
the
on
window
the antlers.
Through the windshield,
yeah,
yes.
That's correct, yeah.
Because they try to hotwire the cop car, and that's when Jason throws her body through it, and you're like, good, some window smashing. I was worried.
Yeah, I was getting a little worried. But he ends up actually smashing like a house window, too. So don't worry. The window smashing is still a thing.
Clay and Jenna run off one way, and Trent goes off by himself. And as he's going, he finds like this farming truck driving slowly, and it stops.
Yeah.
And one hand sticks out and waves him, and they linger on this truck, making it like, is this going to be safe for him to ride with these people?
Yeah.
And immediately in my head, I was like, Michael Bay also did the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What if he's decided to like cross the streams and like, oh, they were terrorized by Jason and it was bad. And then they ran into Leatherface.
Oh, God, stupid.
But no, it's just a farmer and he's willing to help Trent, but Jason's right there behind him and stabs him.
Yeah. And then he impales him on the tow truck.
Yeah, and the truck driver just drives off, just dragging Trent's body behind him.
Yep.
And so he goes back after Clay and Jenna, who have gone back to the campgrounds and then ring the bell again. And this time, Clay and Jenna hear Whitney's screams.
Yes.
So they go underneath the ground and they free his sister.
There's like a trap door in a house that goes down underground. Yeah.
So they try to run down this one tunnel, and it's a dead end because Jason's crafty. He builds fake tunnels. Like, oh my, this movie is so good, man. It's so good compared to all the crap we've been through.
Oh, I know.
And so then they find an exit, and they're getting through it.
Yeah.
And Whitney goes first, and then Clay, and then Jenna starts to go through. And as she's going through, all of a sudden, bam, right through the chest, Jason stabs her. He kills the love interest of our hero.
Yeah, and well, it surprised me too because she had the most virtues out of all of them, and so I expected her to live.
She's the typical final girl.
Yeah, you would think that she would be the final girl.
This is a story about family.
Yeah.
It's about Jason and his mom. It's about Clay and his sister.
Yeah.
So they escape, and they end up back at that barn where the wood chipper is, and they get into a final fight where Clay kind of holds his own for a little bit, which is cool. I like that. And then it looks like Jason's going to feed him into the wood chipper, and then again, a la part 2, his sister confuses Jason like Ginny did by going, Jason, and holding up the locket and going, it's okay, you can stop. And it does. It stops him. He doesn't know. But then they work together, get a chain around his neck, and they end up feeding him. Well,
they put the other end of the chain into the wood chipper, and so it
eats some of
lifted
his head.
Well, no, it lifted his body up and hung him, and then the rafter that was holding him up broke, and he fell down,
and he went
and that's
forward.
when the chain was still feeding into the wood chipper and pulling his head towards the wood chipper.
Yeah, so he got some of his head, some of his back ate up.
Yeah,
and then it ends. They're on a dock.
Yeah.
It cuts away.
And they stab him too. She takes the machete and stabs him through the chest.
Jason, say hi to mommy. In hell.
Yeah.
To which you said, bitch, I already been there, done that. You ain't got nothing. I was like, not this Jason. He hasn't been to hell.
Yeah. Not yet anyway.
Well, hopefully never. Because I like this Jason. So anyway, then it cuts to a dock, and they throw Jason's body into the lake. Along with the locket, you see the mask separate and float down by itself.
Yeah,
and then
he throws the mask in after him.
Oh, that's right. And you see the mask float in, and when it hits, you hear the ch ch ch
Yeah,
and we think it's all over, and then out of nowhere, Jason with the mask on leaps out of the water
through the dock, just crashing through the dock,
and grabs at Clay.
Grabs Whitney.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he grabs Whitney, and she's screaming, and it just cuts to black.
It would be a dream sequence. It's not. It's just how they end the movie.
Yeah, it just cuts to black.
So maybe the sequel to this, if they made one, would pick up with them. Maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe, man. Man, it's been a wild ride through all of these Friday the 13th films.
It really has. I'm sad that it's at an end, but I'm glad at the same time. Just because I forgot. Even though I do love this series and it's one of my favorite movie series, I do somehow manage to forget, maybe because I love it so much, just how bad some of these sequels are.
James, do you remember what I rated the last film?
You gave Jason X the most ridiculous rating of all time.
Oh, what did you do?
4 out of 10.
That was what I did? Okay, I gotta write it down.
4 out of 10. I, of course, gave it the correct rating of 10 out of 10.
No, absolutely not.
Yes, but you can listen to that episode, folks, to see why I'm right and he is dead wrong.
Yeah. So this movie had a lot of virtues. Like, it made a lot of money.
It made almost $100 million.
It's a pretty faithful readaptation of
It's quick.
Jason and
It
Friday the 13th.
incorporates all the right elements.
Yeah.
Like, it only takes stuff from the first 4 movies. We didn't even mention there's a scene in his underground lair where there's just a wheelchair on the wall, a reference to a mark
Yeah.
from part 2. Like, they just make these great subtle little influences and remarks on the original 4.
Yeah.
And it's just great to see them again.
Yeah. I mean, it's got its merits. It used a lot of cool practical effects. The prosthesis for Mears, for
Jared
Jason, looked really convincing, really good. The only thing that I really didn't like is just it still felt super campy. And like, while I realize that that's like a trope of the slasher genre, I think that a really good remake could make a very serious adaptation.
I think you're crazy. I think this is a super serious adaptation.
Yeah, the story
they
itself.
I'm
saying they like the characters. I'm saying the characters though are very just shallow, like not very deep characters. There's a few that's good, like
it's surprisingly
Jared Paladecki's character,
Clay and Jenna. The good guys are actually deeper than they've ever been, and the kids we don't care about / want to see get killed are just as shallow as ever.
I guess it's got a little bit of everything then.
I'll tell you what this movie has that tops it over everything else.
What?
Derek Mears. He is, without a doubt in my mind, the best Jason Voorhees out of any of the movies. He's big, but not too big, not crazy big.
Yeah.
He's fast. He's brutal. He's not some mentally handicapped guy just wandering around killing teens. He's a survivalist. Like, he lives in those woods. He knows those woods. It's just he brought this presence and this just emotion to that character I haven't seen in any of the others.
All right, James. So what would you rate this film? 1 out of 10.
Okay. You're going to yell at me because you're going to say I can't do it. I'm saying this is over 10. This is like...
No, you can't rate it higher than 10. You're just saying that because you made the mistake of rating the last film 10.
No, I'm just telling you. I rated the last one 10 on a what the fuck scale. Like a fun, oh my god, what the fuck scale. This is a good movie. This is a good horror movie. I'm giving it over 10. I'm giving it a 15 out of 10.
Oh god, no. You can't do that, James.
Fine, then if you won't let me, it's 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Because this takes away it takes the bad taste of the bad sequels just out of your mouth.
So basically, the last one's a 10 out of 10, but a totally different 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 because it's like...
The goofometer, 10 out of 10.
What the fuck is this movie? Like, Space Marines and Uber Jason and like... It's just batshit crazy, but super fun.
Yeah.
This is actually a very scary, good horror movie released February 13th, 2009, the day before Valentine's Day.
Yeah. It made a lot of good money, man. It was and I'm not saying it's a bad film. I'm just, I'm looking at all these scores and, man, I think I've got a score for it.
Oh no, I'm scared. I don't think you enjoyed this movie as much as I thought you would, which surprises me.
We'll see.
I really thought you would come away like I did after seeing it, like, oh, I have faith. They've done it right. Yeah. They can do it right in more sequels. That they know what they've done wrong, and now they're going to do him justice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in hindsight, looking at the movie, yeah, I mean, experiencing the movie, it was a good movie. It was just, it felt, I don't know, just like it felt like it lacked some sort of depth somewhere. I don't know. It just feels like it's lacking something that I see as like quintessential Friday the 13th. But I mean, that's fair. I mean, right now I've got part 4 listed as 8.5 out of 10, which it is still, even after watching this reboot, the final chapter is my favorite one. I really like that one. It
is a very solid, out of the first 4, I think that might be my highest.
I think it was. I think we both rated it pretty high.
Yeah, because I gave it an 8.
Yeah.
I gave it an 8, and, well, it's on par with part 1. Yeah. My original rating for part 1 was 8 out of 10.
Yeah, my original for part 1 was 6 out of 10.
Yeah. But this one, I'm
going to rate it an 8 out of 10.
I'm glad.
Really? You didn't think I was going to rate it that high, did you?
No, I thought you were going to rate it, kind of where you did, maybe a little higher than some. I'm glad you did, because like I said, I really wanted this I'm glad this closes out this series. It's a good end to this series.
Yeah, it's not bad. And I'd like to see more come out of this.
I want Derek Mears to keep going.
But I'm saying, like, there's some things that was in that film, and this was only 10 years ago, that probably wouldn't fly today.
Well, all the gratuitous women stuff is not going to work.
Yeah.
None of that.
And I think maybe that's the tastelessness, the bad taste I had in my mouth, like, with the movie.
And that's fair.
Like, I realized it was a trope for the 1980s films and stuff, but at the same time, it was a
trope, or if it was just what was normal back then.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But, like, you know, watching those films, it's like I judge it by the merits of its time, and whereas something that's graphically modern,
especially now with Me Too and all that going on.
I mean, I don't know if it's just that. I don't think it's just that sort of issue. It's just it just doesn't hit me the right, you know, the way that the 1980s ones did. I don't know.
But that's fair. 8 out of 10 is still a good rating.
Yeah, 8 out of 10. It had great merits. Probably could have been a little more socially aware.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
The only thing that I think that
but I'm still giving it a 10 out of 10. Really? It just takes away all the bad sequels and leaves me with why I love that character and love that series.
Yeah.
But now let's take a look back, because this is the end of at our scores. Because I have looked back, and after watching the series as a whole again, I did change some.
Really?
For me, yeah. Like part 1, I originally gave it 8 out of 10. I have to give it a 10 out of 10.
Really?
Because without it, none of these other movies happen.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And plus, it is a solid horror movie. Like, you don't see the twist. I mean, if you've been on the internet, if you've had people talk to you about pop culture and stuff, you probably do. But if you haven't seen the movie before, you wouldn't see that twist ending coming.
Yeah.
Part 2, I also bumped up. I had it 6 out of 10. I gave it a 7. Because as far as sequels go, it's not as bad. And that was it. That was the only ones I changed.
Yeah.
Part 3 stayed the same. Part 4. Part 5, which I gave a 9 out of 10. Another non-Jason movie. But it's a great trip. Part 8 is still the worst fucking piece of trash I have ever seen. You know what?
Man.
0. I'm not even going to give it a 0.5 anymore. It's a 0 out of 10.
They shouldn't have even made this movie.
Well, here's the thing. I re-listened to that podcast the other night when I was on my way home from work.
Yeah.
And I was cracking up at just how angry I was at that movie. And it's ridiculous things of like toxic waste floods New York every night at midnight.
Yeah, that part.
It gets a 0. I was too kind to even give it a 0.5. 8 is a straight up goose egg 0.
Man.
But no, I think this is a 10 out of 10. The reason why this is the end and they didn't make anything after the reboot is because they have entered a legal battle between Sean Cunningham, who was the director and producer of like the first movie and the reboot and some others, and the writer/creator of the series, Victor Miller. And they're still in a legal battle to this day.
Huh. Mm-hmm. So we won't be seeing any new stuff of Jason, at least until that's over with.
Although Google had an article that the director of Part 6 has written a script for another Friday movie.
Yeah.
It's not following his movie. It sets Jason against an all-female cast, and it is set at the camp in the wintertime. So we would get to see Jason in the snow.
Huh, that would be
which
cool.
We've never seen.
No.
And it would make for some brilliant arterial spray.
Oh, yeah.
Like blood on snow done correctly, like with Kill Bill.
Yeah.
And other movies as such. It does add a beauty to it.
Yeah.
Like it does make it more gruesome and more, stick out into your face. So, my last question before we end this podcast.
Yeah.
Now that you've seen this series, what is Friday the 13th to you?
I mean, I already told you in like the last podcast.
Well, yeah, but now you've seen the whole series. What do you think? Was it worth your time?
I mean, I think it was worth my time I'm definitely, even the movies that I didn't even care for that much. I mean, it's, it was an experience watching it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of regret watching the 8th one. Actually, the 9th one's pretty bad too.
And I think of Jason Voorhees. Think of a little girl.
Okay,
pigtails. Like, that fucking character is so fucked up, dude.
Man, but
it has been a wild ride.
I know. I don't know if that I would change any of the scores that I have, though. I think they're all pretty solid. I've been thinking about it as it goes on, and I'm just like, nah, I'm pretty solid.
And like I said, though, I'm so happy to end on a high note, at least for me.
Yeah.
Like, I really hope they do. I do hope they keep Derek Mears. I would love to see him play Jason more often.
Yeah.
Because he was so good in this movie.
All right. Well, that's wrapping up the Friday the 13th franchise. We're going to be doing some more retro reviews on other old movies, and if you have any suggestions, please send them our way. We're looking for stuff probably like early 2000s at the very latest. I mean, we just did the reboot for Friday the 13th, but it fit in with the theme.
That was part of the series, so we have to.
We probably wouldn't typically go with something as new as 2009, but
although no, that's 10 years ago now. That's not.
I mean, it's not really retro though, James.
I guess not. No. So early 2000s, maybe we'll say 2004 is the cutoff point.
Yeah, give us some good old movies to watch, and
it could be horror, comedy, sci-fi, romance, whatever. Yeah, we'll watch it.
And we've got some stuff that we're gonna be looking at next anyway. So so it's not like that we're not gonna have any material, but hey, if you've got something good that we want to watch and that we want to review, we'll bump it to the top of the list and we'll get that podcast out.
So along with that, make sure you check out our Facebook page if you haven't already, and give us a like.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if the links on the older episodes is going to work for our Facebook page, because I had to change the usernames on stuff to match the Twitter handle.
Twitter handle we just have.
We have a Twitter handle. It is at JRam and Billy Pod, and you can find us on Facebook at JRam and Billy Pod as well. You can also stream us on Apple iTunes now.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too. And for those of you who are listening to us on Apple iTunes, take a moment and write a review and give us a score on there, because we're looking to get some reviews on there.
So that we can maybe get some more sponsorships, and we can maybe expand this little empire we're trying to build.
Yeah. And we're going to be having some giveaways from Lungbusters.
Who is a great sponsor of this podcast. Yes. We love them to pieces.
Yep. First sponsor down, James.
Yeah. Whoop, whoop.
But we're going to keep this retro review train rolling. Next week, we're going to have a new Hot Takes come out. And this time, James, what are we going to be talking about?
We're going to be talking about cancel culture.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting topic, to say the least. And if you check last week's podcast, we have a new episode of Wow, That's Deep, and it's all about death.
Yeah. Kind of goes hand in hand with this review.
Yeah.
The death of this series and, just death in general.
Yeah. So we got a lot of cool different podcast episodes guaranteed to satisfy anything that you wish to hear, except true crime, because we don't do that. Anyway.
That's true. Without further ado, this is J-Ram.
And this is Billy.
Have a good night. So if you've listened all the way to the end, comment, bye-bye, Jason. I think that's appropriate, right?
Yeah.
A little good send-off. Bye-bye, Jason.
Bye-bye, Jason.